It is 5 o'clock and today is October the 10th, 2022. I'm confirming that we do have a quorum. Norma? Next item is we're going to go to the public comments section. If we can go ahead and get started.
The first one on the list is Erasmo Castro. Will you please approach the podium?
Good afternoon. My name is Erasmo Castro, and I am a Brownsville resident all my life. Back in October 31st of 2013, the Houston Chronicle reported that according to the U.S. Census Bureau, we were the poorest community in the nation. This is back in 2013, October 31st. Back in October 2014, Bloomberg also picked up and reported that we were the poorest community in this country. It is very unfortunate that we have had this classification, and we've had it for far too long. And a lot of it has to do because of the lack of economic development that has occurred here in this city. And one of the things that we had learned or had heard or had been sold to us by our former mayor and by city commission and the PUB board at that time was that we were going to get this great entity called Tenaska. And it was going to come and bring all this economic development to our area and help us out in regards to being classified as the poorest community in the country. It was back during this same time that, unfortunately for us, that we learned that Tenaska was not going to be. It was not going to happen. And by then, our rates have been increased by 36%, something that we had been saying for a long, long time, and had been negated and had been watered down. And a lot of times we get the classification that we're being negative, that we're not naysayers, and that we're speaking fake news, false narratives. And unfortunately for our community, because of the audit that was produced last week to the community, I was proven also right. And everyone else that has sat in this board, on this board, and all those that have sat at our elected official seats at the city commission were also proven very, very wrong. I find it very, very telling. This is not the first time that I have been before the PUB board. One of the things that I find different, besides this, the very pretty building that y'all bought, probably with the monies that were collected off the 36% rate increase. But the other thing that I find very telling is the increased level of security here at this meeting. I've never seen this many security officers here. And I would guesstimate or state or believe that the reason why we have all the security personnel here is because individuals have realized that the people in the community are very, very upset. And the people in our community are very, very upset because we are still classified as one of the poorest communities in this nation. And let me say, it is very, very disheartening to hear and to receive an audit that basically states in a nutshell that we were deceived, we were lied to, things were fabricated, manipulation, and our rates continue to be the same. I was present at a board meeting. I actually came to the board meeting back when our county judge was counsel for the PUB board. I came to the meeting, and the only reason that I came was because our rates were going to be reduced by 15%. And I said, it's a good start. It's a good start, you know? And I came to that meeting, and we weren't reduced. The measure was tabled. We got no reduction in rates. And we continue to be the poorest community in this nation. It was tabled. I don't know exactly why it was tabled. Our county judge, who was the council back then, said it wasn't good for the city of Brownsville. It was not good for PUB. And it is something that we continuously see throughout the audit, where management at PUB says, no, let's leave the rates where they're at. Let's not reduce them. We're going to need this money. This despite the fact that it had already been mentioned to the community. Well, to you all, we didn't know that Tenasca was not going to happen. It was not going to be. And y'all continued. You all, the PUB board,
Time's up.
continued. I have 5 minutes. It's up? Very quickly, my finish real quick. Guys, action needs to be taken. And I've made mention of this in private, that any one of us out there in the community that would have been told that we had deceived, misjudged, lied to, action would have been taken against us. This board needs to take action
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
against management,
Thank you, Mr.
and
Castro.
so does the city commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Susan Rubalcaba.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Rubalcaba, and I'm here to talk about the recent forensic audit. Illegal, irregular acts, intentional ignore, overstate, false, downplay the risks, control over narrative, overemphasis, artificially inflated, interference and manipulation, intentional misrepresentation, omit key information, contrived, heavily influenced, conflicts of interest, false pretense, collusion, undue influence, manipulate and mislead. These are a few of the words you will find in the forensic report released by Carl Riggs and Ingram last week. Words that describe the premeditated theft by deception of the current CEO, members of the current and prior PUB management, and the ex-mayor, Tenasca, and hired consultants. An elaborate plan to steal money from the citizens of Brownsville that in the end was successful. Now, here we are today, after the victimized had to fork over more taxpayer money to have a forensic audit in order to bring to light the failure of our elected and appointed officials to serve us and not themselves. Millions of dollars have been stolen from us, and I'm here today to demand, not to ask, not to beg, but to demand that based on the conclusion of this audit, that the current CEO be placed on leave without pay immediately.
I would ask the people to please not disrupt it, please.
That any current members of the management team who have been mentioned in this audit be placed on administrative leave without pay. I demand that the authorities be notified to identify any criminal violations in regards to the persons identified in this audit. This board has a job to protect and serve. This is your obligation, not your choice. Today, you must step in without hesitation and do what is right by the citizens of Brownsville. Thank you.
Next is Kayla Taboada.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Taboada, and I too am a citizen of Brownsville. And I feel like everyone else here is very heartbroken and angry. I think angry is a definite word. And basically, as you guys already know, and everybody knows with the audit and everything that's been said. So now we know what the audit says. I think it's time that you guys take action in reducing those rates that were raised for us, because clearly they went to nowhere just to enrich other people and only make the community even poorer. We have elderly people that can't even make their bills at the moment. They're falling behind. Now they're falling behind, and then they're going to continue to be behind because now you guys add on late fees. Nobody wants to work with them. And so basically it's just derail the whole citizens of Brownsville, and you know, what happens next? Nothing, because you guys don't seem to care. I think it's time that you care. All of you have family members here. You have friends that live here. You should want to see the whole community strive and move up instead of just stomping all over us. So I ask that you guys really reconsider all of these things that were taken from us and give us back at least what is deserved. Thank you.
Next is Claudia Serrano. Claudia Serrano.
She's not here.
No, she.
No. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and continue with our meeting. At this time, we're going to go to the consent agenda items. Any questions on the consent agenda items?
None here, Madam Chair.
So,
No? If there's no questions, if I can entertain a motion?
Sandra, can you hear me?
Oh, Mr. Rendon?
Can you hear me? I just wanted to make sure you can hear me.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mr. Rendon.
Well, can you hear me? Can you hear my voice?
We can hear.
Not
really.
Not really.
Is there anything y'all can do on your end to increase the volume for my voice?
I can hear you, Art. Coming from mine?
Must be that.
It's usually my hearing is the worst.
Can you jack up the sound by chance?
Is there any way we can increase? the
Did you
sound?
hear us that we're going on the consent agenda items? There was.
I can hear y'all very clearly. I can see y'all. I just want to make sure that y'all can hear me in the event that I have a comment or I need to make a statement.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, just make sure you speak loudly, Art.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
we're going to go ahead and continue with the consent agenda items. Did I have a motion? Motion, second by Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to go ahead and go with the items for individual consideration. We're going to go with item number 1, the general manager's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we have a board calendar in your packet. Mike will be doing the financial report on engineering legal fees for the monthly expenses, City of Brownsville capital work order report, procurement summary, and then we'll give a drought update. Mike, you want to, Monica, George, financial.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is George Rangel, and I am the finance manager here at PUB. And I will be presenting the financial performance report as of August 31st, 2022. The financial. It's the last one. Thank you. Okay, so the first slide, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go over the income statement, and I am going to concentrate on the far right column labeled fiscal year 2022 year to date. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with our operating revenues. Our sales and service charges came in at 170,555,787. Our fuel collection came in at 55,533,742. Our fuel under billings came in at 32,781,264, less our rate stabilization of 14.8 million. And less utilities service to the city of Brownsville at 4,921,624 gave us total operating revenues of 239,149,169. The next section is on the operating expenses. We have a total operating expenses of 198,495,610. which was subtracted from the operating revenues, giving us operating income of 40,653,559. The next section is our non-operating revenues and expenses. We did have non-operating expenses of 23,736,221, which did include payments to the city of Brownsville, which gave us income before capital contributions of 16,917,338. We have capital contributions of 7,074,445, giving us a change in net position of 23,991,783. We add that to the net position at the beginning of the year of 411,306,272, which gives us a net position at the end of the year of 435,298,055. Next, I'm going to move on to our flow of funds. I'm going to go ahead and skip all the way to line 20, which gives us our balance available for transfers out at 41,018,343. And that was sufficient revenues that were generated to cover our transfers out, which totaled 20,959,521, giving us an improvement fund surplus balance of 20,058,822. Were there any questions?
No questions.
At this time, I'm going to move on to item number 1C, the engineering fees expense. And that's going to be as of August 31st, 2022. And so for fiscal year 2022, our budget was set at $2,583,392. Year to date, we have expenses of $1,495,628, leaving a balance of $1,087,764. The next report is for legal fees, and that's also as of August 31st, 2022. Our budget was set at $1,660,987, and that doesn't include the amendment that was presented and approved by the board on August 8th of $135,241. And year-to-date expenses are at $1,542,791, leaving a balance of $118,195 for the rest of the year. And then the last report I will be going over is the capital work orders that are requested by the city of Brownsville. And again, this is also going through August 31st, 2022. And I'm going to concentrate on the last row that's there. And so we had authorized work order amounts of $131,446.60 to August 31, and a total of $45,233.52 in expenses year to date. Are there any questions on any of the reports that I just went over?
No.
George, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
This is Mr. Rendon. Just a quick question. The
Yes, sir.
total amount of this budget was 239 million.
For which one, I'm sorry?
The total amount of the budget was 239 million.
For the legal fees, or you're talking about the engineering fees?
I'm talking about the budget for this past year. This one that's coming up,
Yes.
the total budget.
For legal fees?
No,
Total.
Oh, it's I think it's 256 million.
okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry. I apologize. And those
Any
are all
other
the reports for me.
No questions.
Just a quick, favor almost. Can you explain the transfers out and what that means?
Sure.
Since we have so many people here.
Yes, after paying all of our expenses, we had, in this case, we had 41,018,343 to be able to pay out for all of our stuff that was outside of our normal O&M expenses. So if you look at line item number 23, 24, and 25, that'll give you what our transfers out were for 22. And so the first one that we had is a fuel sub-account that we had set up for 22. And at this point, as of year-to-date, August 31st, 2022, we had 12,852,582 that we contributed to the fuel sub-account. The next one, our improvement fund, which is our CIP, our capital projects. And year-to-date, we contributed 6,773,607 for that as well. And then the last one is our commercial paper defeasance of 1,333,332. And those are what our transfers out are.
Any other questions? No?
Thank you very much.
Okay, procurement summary?
Mhm.
Oh, no, go, sorry, okay.
Good evening, chairs and board members. I'll provide the report for the general manager procurement authorization third quarter from July to September 2022. The total amount for the Water Wastewater Administration is $389,189.54. The total amount for electric is $913,774.03. And the grand total for the Water Wastewater Administration and electric is $1,302,963.57. And most are competitive bids and state contracts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last item I have on there is a drought report. I think Amy's going to give the board an update where we are with the drought situation.
That's it. Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Jaime Estrada. I'm the Director of Operator Support Services. Rio Grande, next slide, please.
Can you talk?
can't tell.
Move it.
Can you, too close or too
Yeah.
far?
No, we,
Close.
closer.
Closer.
There you go.
Okay, the Rio Grande watershed on October 1st, 2022, the U.S. combined ownership at Amistad Falcon stood at 30.6% of normal conservation capacity, down from 37.62 a year ago. This graph is a representation of our Amistad Falcon conservation capacity. The blue line represents the U.S. share. The red line represents the Mexico share. Just looking at the trend, and if you look at it, we're not at the lowest, but if you look at the gap, it gets getting wider and wider as we go down the line. So we're still kind of low. So we need to keep an eye on the reservoirs and our drought. It was lowered. If you look at the left side of the graph, it's a little bit lower than current, but that trend keeps on getting wider. We're concerned about what's going on with the reservoir at this time. So right now, our water rights, we do own 31,552 acre feet of water rights. Okay, so this is just a trend that shows what we use. If you look at our municipal water right used from 2017 through now to 2021, we're at about 20,000 in 2017. We're down to about 16,000 today. That's at the end of September. Okay, so I think by the end of the calendar year, that's when we measure it, we'll probably be up at the 18,000 mark, more or less. But even though we got 31,000 acre feet of water rights, doesn't mean we have that water. It's got to be at the reservoirs. So that's a big concern to us. If you look at the forecast for the next quarter, it's going to be lower precipitation, higher temperatures. So even though we had some rain in August, September, we got some rain which brought our reservoirs up to 30.6%. We were lucky, but I just think we need to keep a really close eye on this because we need to stay in front of the drought, but it's bottom line. The next slide here, this slide comes from the Texas Water Development Board. It's a Texas, it's called the Water Data for Texas. If you look it up on the internet, you'll be able to find it. And all it shows is the red line shows our 100% capacity. In this particular case, it's the Falcon Reservoir. But if you look at towards the tail end, and again, I'm looking at the extent of the low readings. If you look at it's getting wider and wider for us. It's not the lowest, but it's still getting bigger and bigger. So we just need to keep an eye on it, as well as this is the Amistad Reservoir. We see the same type of trend. So just looking at a whole, we just need to be very careful with what's going on with the reservoirs, make sure we keep in line with what's going on so we can be in front of the drought. Right now, at the drought stages we're at, when we hit 25%, this 25 percentile, we went ahead and went to stage 2 restrictions. We're still under stage 2. And I don't foresee us getting out of the street, lifting those restrictions at this moment. So I think we will keep there for a while and see what happens with the reservoirs. And right now, that's all really I had. I don't know if you have any questions regarding the drought or not.
I do, Mr. Estrada. What would be the criteria to go back to stage 1? What percentage?
Well, right now we're at 30.6. That's going to be a call from the mayor and PUB. And I think it's when we start seeing those trends that right now the trends are even though we went up, we're still going down, but we don't see any precipitation coming in. So when you look at the forecast.
That was our wet season. So, I mean, that was our water-rich season that just passed.
Yeah, it just passed.
Okay.
And we're going to go into this.
But do we have a hard, fast number?
I would think, I did talk to the irrigators up the valley, the larger systems up there, what would be comfortable for them in the municipalities to operate as normal, about 34 or 35%.
Okay.
We got at that level, they're comfortable that the entire year they could do a normal
Yeah,
water.
that along with a favorable forecast, right? Or
Yes.
An average.
So we're not quite there yet, but that would be what I would recommend. If we were to get to that 34.5, I would recommend we drop back to 1.
Okay. I think that saves us. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all under item 1.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and go to item number 2, which is the consideration and possible action of a resolution authorizing Brownsville Public Utilities Board formal adoption of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board 2022 Hazard Mitigation Action Plan. George?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So back in 2019, grant staff started working on updating the current hazard mitigation plan that we had at the time. The plan at that point was valid from August of 2015 all the way to August of 2022. So it's a 5-year validity for the plan. And so we started working on that in 2019, and we actually went through a RFP to hire a consultant to help us draft the updates for the plan. And we did receive a grant in the amount of $56,000 from TDM to be able to hire that consultant and help us update that plan. And what this plan does is kind of identify natural disasters that can hit our area.
From who?
From TDM, the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have said that. Texas Division of Emergency Management. They went ahead and gave us the grant to go ahead and hire the consultant. And what this plan does is it identifies natural disasters that can potentially hit our area. So that includes extreme heat or cold, flood, hail, disease outbreak, things like that can affect our region and more than anything, our infrastructure. And so the plan got started back in 2019. We received the grant in 2020. But what ended up happening that was when COVID hit, everything got pushed back. So the grant that we had applied for was initially supposed to be awarded to us in mid-2020, but with COVID, all that got pushed back about a year. And so we didn't end up getting that funding until early 2021. And that's when we actually went full speed ahead with developing the plan. In this particular plan, we are partnered with the city of Brownsville. So we worked hand in hand in coming with identifying those disasters and finding mitigation strategies to ease those disasters as well. And so at this point right now, what we're trying to do is we've already sent the plan up to TDM, to the Texas Division of Emergency Management, to review the information that we provided. They didn't have any updates or comments or edits. They pushed it up to FEMA, who also reviewed, did not have any comments or any additional updates. And so at this point, they've given us a conditional approval. And the last piece of the puzzle would be to get a resolution by BPUB formally adopting the plan and putting it into effect for the next 5 years in order for them to be able to give us that last approval. And I do want to add that some of the mitigation strategies that we added onto the plan were the SRWA expansion. And as a matter of fact, we are going to be applying for some grant funding that does close at the last December 31st of this year. And without this plan being authorized, we wouldn't be able to apply for that funding. And so we need this plan to be approved in order for us to apply for that funding to help us pay for some of the expansion to the SRWA wellfield.
How much are we applying for?
Well, the max is 50 million. I don't know if we'll get 50 million, but that's the max. Yeah.
And that expansion has not yet been approved. So it's contingent upon
funding sources.
Funding and
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
George, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir. Yes, I can move, Mr. Rondon.
What type of a profile, what type of consultant is PUB considering hiring for the $56,000 that you talked about?
Well, the consultant that we ended up hiring was Tetra Tech, but we did have about 6 agencies apply, and then we did go through our RFP process, and they were the ones who were ultimately selected, Tetra Tech.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Can I entertain a motion to move on the item?
So move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to item number 3, which is consideration and possible action of a Brownsville Public Utilities Board commercial paper reimbursement resolution.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. So this is an annual housekeeping item. The resolution pertains to the prospective for issuance of commercial paper notes by the Public Utilities Board of the City of Brownsville, Texas, to reimburse itself for expenditures associated with the board's approved CIP program for the fiscal year ended September 30, 2023. So it is in accordance with the United States Department of Treasury regulations. BPUB's intent is to reimburse itself from the proceeds of notes in the amount not to exceed $38 million, which agrees back to the approved CIP plan. So at this time, BPUB staff recommends approval of the commercial paper reimbursement resolution.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Rendon,
No, I'm good, thank you.
can I entertain a motion to move on the item?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go to item number 4. Consideration and possible action of authorization for the general manager and chief executive officer to approve engineering services as needed for fiscal year 2023.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. So the board approved BPUB's O&M and capital budget back in September of 2022. Total combined engineering services approved budget was at $3,162,214. So at this time, in an effort to expedite normal daily operational business, BPUB staff recommends authorizing the general manager and chief executive officer to approve up to $3,162,214 for engineering services for both the O&M and the CIP for fiscal year 2023.
Any questions from the board?
All right, question, Madam Chair, but I'll be abstaining.
You'll be abstaining?
And Mike, just to clarify, this is the amount that's already been allocated and approved in our 2023.
That's correct. Approved back in September.
Historically, how much, what's that level set at?
It's been about the same level, as reported by George earlier in the general manager report. I think the budget was at $2,300,000 this past year, 2.5 million. And so this year's request is at 3.1. So it averages between $2-3 million every year.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Rendon,
No, ma'am.
can I entertain a motion to move this item?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Joseph? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 One abstention?
One, yes. And any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go with item number 5, the consideration and possible action of authorization for the general manager and chief executive officer to approve legal services as needed for fiscal year 2023.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. So it's same as the previous item. The board did approve BPUB's O&M and CIP budgets in September 2022. The total combined legal services approved budget was at $1,860,474 for fiscal year 23. At this time, in an effort to expedite normal daily operational business, BPUB staff recommends the general manager authorizing the general manager and chief executive officer to approve up to $1,860,474 for anticipated legal services for both O&M and capital projects for fiscal year 2023.
Any questions from the board?
Once again, Mike, just to confirm, that's the amount that's already been allocated and approved in the 2023 budget, correct?
That's correct.
No, there's no increase to that, right? Okay.
No.
No further questions?
No.
Can I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed to it.
One. Mr. Rendon?
Yes.
Motion carries. We're going to go with item number 6. Consideration and possible action on commercial paper funding adjustments to reimburse expenditures for electric, water, and wastewater capital improvement projects for the period of October 2022 through December 2022.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. So in accordance with the commercial paper program, staff is requested approval to provide commercial paper funding to reimburse expenditures for projects that are going to be incurred this next quarter ending December 31, 2022. Total requests for electric were at $498,314. That makes up 2 projects. One is for the Line Tech project or contract for $408,314. Another $90,000 for the 56 MVA Northwest Distribution Station. On the water side, total allocation would be $209,855. The majority of that is for the new connections and subdivisions. On the wastewaters, we have a credit of $687,050. The majority of this credit, the $539,056, relates to the FM 51182 Colonia project. This project was not necessarily closed during the year, but we did identify some additional funding out of the improvement fund. And so we reclassified it out of commercial paper into the improvement fund. Now, we did have some projects that were closed out for wastewater, $518,520 for the 2020 construction project. Now, some of the new requests under wastewater were $150,000 for a lift station 140 rehab, $57,438 for the City of Brownsville utility improvements, and another $194,196 for new construction and subdivision. So the net increase in requests for the commercial paper program for the quarter ending December was at $21,119. So at this time, BBB staff recommends approval of commercial paper funding adjustments for the electric, water, and wastewater capital improvements projects for the period of October 2022 through December 2022 for the quarterly total of $21,119 and an overall total of $12,940,382.
Any questions from the board?
No, not for me.
No? Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We're going to go to item number 7, which is consideration and possible action on a contract amendment for communications planning services.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Estrella Solórzano, and I am the Acting Director of Communications and Administrative Services. And today I'll be presenting items 7 through 9. In 2021, the BPUB board approved the crisis communication planning services provided by Han Public. This contract provided assistance with the development of a communications plan. In 2022, the BPUB entered into a $50,000 contract with Han Public for services to be provided on an as-needed basis, primarily for crisis communications if the situation were to arise, and any other support that the communications department, the communications and PR department, as well as the digital information platforms department were to need. Recent events such as rates, bills, the drought, recycle restoration, and the advanced metering infrastructure, among others, have prompted the need to request additional assistance from HUN. So attached to your packet today, I included a proposal that was submitted for additional services that would include some of these topics, or topics that we could need in an as-needed basis, really. We can change the topics as needed. I don't know if you have any questions regarding the proposal. Currently on the line, I do have David Gibbs, who's the director for HUN, and I also have Tim Weinheimer, who's the Chief Innovations Officer, to support with answering any questions in regards to the proposal.
Any questions?
Estrella, this contract will be under your supervision, or
It would be under my supervision. The contract is under the Communications and PR department, but I am above that department.
so you'll
Brian
be
Greenfield.
overseeing the expenditures and authorizing the time allocated or the budget with Optimus.
Yes, sir. We do get monthly invoices with Han, and I did speak to them prior, because again, we do have a current contract in the amount of $50,000, where they can actually break down where they assisted us, and so we can keep track in monitoring all of those expenses. Yes, sir. And I can provide those updates to you as you see fit. That's not a problem.
Sorry, you're always diligent on your presentations. Thank you. And very
Thank you, sir.
fortunate. But I do have several questions. Well, actually, I can distill it down to one. What was Han doing previously that was that's a significant increase, right? That's, if I'm correct,
That is correct, sir.
from 50
Yes,
to 225,000?
yes.
And in your budget or the communication breakdown recommendations table, you have some X's here on social media, website, creative development. Were those actions not being helped by Han?
Well,
Or were not being helped by Han, or?
so
that's
back, I apologize, I interrupted.
Yeah, I see messaging as a month 1 and 2, but I'm just a little confused on what they weren't doing prior and what they will be doing in the future for that significant increase in I could see a 25,000 increase if they were doing a lot more, but a threefold or 3.5-fold increase, I have some concerns.
So when we came to the board initially back in 2021, Han was assisting with crisis communication after the winter storm Uri.
I remember that.
They assisted with the with the communications plan and drafting that.
Yes.
Currently, the need, because we had not had any event that prompted that much assistance, we do have a communication department and a PR department and a digital information platforms department that has internally taken care of a lot of those communications. Feedback received, as well as the events that I mentioned, prompted a request for a proposal. And I'll break down each one of them, and again, Han is available to assist. In regards to the messaging, Han will develop sound bites, elevator pitches, full statements on each topic to help BPUB employees discuss these issues in very official capacities and when speaking with community members. They will also provide training for spokesperson training for executive management, including the board, as well as a customer service department, communication and PR, and the digital information platforms department. In regards to social media, Han will provide us with virtual training on how to best respond to customer service issues in social media. We also conduct daily monitoring of social media. They can provide reporting. And again, this is on a net needed basis. This is a proposal with an overall estimate. We can also provide some of the reporting inside through our digital information platforms department. We have the capacity to do that, to look about trending topics or most commonly asked topics in the community. We can provide you with some of that. This is more of an enhancement to our overall delivery. They will also provide enhancements on social media present by assisting us in developing a consistent tone in Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, which is our social media platforms.
Let me interrupt you if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I think this is a significant change.
Mhm.
I don't know if the rest of the board, but I'd feel a little more comfortable if we table and have them present more formally next time around.
I tend to agree with that, and if I may, look, I've been looking at a lot of these items, and I think we need to be careful on spending money on non-essential items. I'm not sure this is a high-level item to go up to $225,000 to spend right now. In this current climate, I would agree that we need to table this.
To add to Art's comments, my concern is, of course, the money, that, as you heard me say that, but I understand the importance of this communication. I just want to make sure that the board fully understands what added value, and I think that needs a presentation from them. So I make a motion to table.
I'll second.
So, I just wanted to add or ask one question.
Go ahead, sir.
What do we lose tabling it? Not saying we shouldn't. I think it's a great idea, but what are we going to lose pushing this back?
Well, then we do have currently a contract. We've been utilizing the contract and the service. We have been utilizing the services more often than expected for this specific year. So again, if the budget runs out, then we stop requesting assistance until we come back to the board. Now, Han is available online. We can, if you would prefer for them to be present, they can be present to provide a presentation for you. That's okay. Whatever you ask me to do, we'll follow.
Maybe I suggest a committee meeting with this topic and then let the committee vet it and then bring it to the.
I don't know.
Either way.
I mean, I'm fine with that, of course. I think that's something that communications, PR is critical to a lot of the things we've been talking about recently and what we'll probably be talking about today. So I think it's absolutely important. I just want to make sure that we're getting what we pay for.
Okay.
Motion on the table.
Motion on
First
the
and second.
floor. First and a second. So all in favor of the motion for this item to be tabled?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll table this item.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to go with item number 8, which is a consideration and possible action to select a vendor and to authorize the general manager and chief executive officer to negotiate a contract with the Brownsville Public Utilities Board Group Health and Dental partially self-insured plans and bring back to the board the final contract for approval.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm going to go ahead and start by providing you a background in regards to our group health and dental insurances. Our group health and dental insurance runs for a policy year January to December, so the current policy will expire on on December 31st and will renew on January 1st, 2023. The last time we brought this item for approval for the board was on November 14, 2019, and it was through an RFP process. The board did approve 3 years with the board's option to renew at the end of each year. 2022 is the last year of that 3-year contract. Our insurance consultant for group health and dental is Withy and Associates, and they are available as well on the line to answer any questions that you might have in regards to the tabulations. In regards to the timeline, about that, let's pull my notes. The advertisement ran in the Brownsville Herald on July 10th and July 17th. The proposals were due on August 24th and opened on August 25th and forwarded to our consultant for review of the tabulations. This RFP was out available to the public for 6.5 weeks. Withy and Associates conducted an analysis of the proposals, and they did select 2 of the vendors that submitted a response, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas and United Health, to further evaluate the services. To provide you with a comparison, to provide you with a comparisons of the tabulations, our current coverage is with Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is for health. For health only. We'll go over dental next. The renewals with Blue Cross Blue Shield that they offer, the big item that we need to look at here is the number of medical providers that are available through Blue Cross Blue Shield. They do have 3,364 medical providers. United Healthcare only has 730. That's a big difference from one to the next. They both offer stop loss insurance at $200,000. Stop loss insurance is an additional, it's the retention amount that we have. So anything over that will be reimbursed by Blue Cross Blue Shield at the end of each policy year. This is for all medical claims. It's a retention or a deductible amount. In regards to the administrative costs, we did get a medical as well as a prescription rebate with Blue Cross Blue Shield, which gives us a credit of $115,748. There is no cost for administrative costs with United Healthcare. They did offer a $300,000 credit. However, we would need to commit to a 3-year contract. We come to the board with a 3-year contract with the board's option to renew. We budget for 1 year, which is why it's not added here, because if we decline to renew or not approved by the board, then we would have to reimburse that credit the first year at 100%, $300,000, second year, 75%, third year at 50%. That's why we left it without the credit, because we can't commit to the 3 years. In regards to the total fixed cost, Cross Blue Shield, we have $1,028,929. With United Healthcare, we have $1,167,289. That's a 13.4% increase. The difference is that the total maximum claims cost for dental with UHC is lower than what's provided by Blue Cross Blue Shield. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, our total annual cost would be $9,602,572, which would be a 6.3% decrease from what our current total annual cost is. And with United Healthcare, it would be $9,537,630, which would be a 6.9% decrease from our current. The overall recommendation as provided by after the tabulations were completed by Withy and Associates is to renew with Blue Cross Blue Shield. The reason, the proposal provides more network service providers, so there would be no disruption to employees for a limited amount of providers that their current doctors might not be available through UHC. There will be no disruption for change in administration procedure. It is the lowest fixed cost for administration services and stop loss premium at $1,028,929 compared to $1,167,289 for United Healthcare. Blue Cross Blue Shield provides a PPO network performance guarantee. Blue Cross Blue Shield was provided for a proposal without the need for additional claim information. Any questions regarding the health?
Any questions from the board?
No, and this item was presented to the finance committee on Friday, and the team answered the question. The finance committee did not present.
We recommend. Okay.
Moving on to dental. Dental is separate from health. Blue Cross does offer both items. They are our current provider. Sorry about that. It was the other one. Group health and dental. There we go. That's it. Thank you, Dan. Let me go back. The big item here, we did receive several proposals for dental insurance. The big item is that we are seeing a decrease in the overall administration costs at 14.8%. We're going from $49,002, which is our current cost for dental, to $41,766. They do offer administrative services. The other plans that were submitted, which include Cigna, MetLife, and Sun Life, they either do not offer stop-loss insurance or they're fully insured programs. So for that reason, we are recommending a renewal based on based on our consultant's review with Blue Cross Blue Shield as well. Any questions?
No,
And you
again,
reviewed this?
That was presented at the finance committee as well.
So if it's okay with you, I'm going to provide you with the recommended action. The recommended action is that BPUB staff recommends the board authorize the general manager and chief executive officer to negotiate a contract with the selected vendor for the BPUB group health and dental partially self-insured plans as recommended by BPUB's insurance consultant and bring back to the board the final contract for approval.
If there's no questions from the board, if I can entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did we identify where that feedback was coming from?
I know.
Okay,
Are we okay?
think so. Looks like.
Okay. We're going to move to item number 9. Consideration and possible action to renew the Brownsville Public Utilities Board basic life, accidental death and dismemberment, voluntary life, accidental death and dismemberment, group long-term disability, voluntary short-term disability, voluntary group cancer/dread disease, voluntary group vision, voluntary group critical care insurances, including the cafeteria/flex plan administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to start off by providing a background. I'll go over the list of insurances for this item as well as the product, the insurance vendors and agent. This is a renewal. So the board did approve this item back on November 8th, 2021 through an RFP process. They did approve it for 3 years with the board's option to renew at the end of each year. The current policy year is the second year of the 3-year option. And our insurance consultant is as well, Ken Withy and Associates, who's available on the line to answer any questions. The employee benefits include the basic, which is purchased by BPUB, that's basic term life and AD&D insurance, the long-term disability, the voluntary, these are optional. They're purchased by the employees and they have the choice of whether they want to purchase it or not. This is voluntary life, AD&D insurance, and short-term disability. The employee benefits insurance program or the ancillary programs, these are also optional. These are a group vision, a group cancer dread disease, a group critical care insurance. These are our current coverages. This is what was approved by, these numbers are calculated based on the approval on 2021, as well as the current cost with an 8-month projection, as well as a 12-month projection. This item was provided or presented during the Finance Committee meeting, and I did update the numbers. As you can see, they're broken down to provide you the overall total for basic A&D is $13,000. This is 8 months. This is up to August. The long-term and dependent life is $43,151. The total for the other items is $222,274.53. The overall total cost as of August is the 285,903.59. That item divided by 8 multiplied by 12 will provide you the 428,000. Approximate. Again, the recommended action will be with a TBD number because some of these items are optional. Therefore, they might change based on employee turnover, or if we get a new employee that comes in, they will elect to purchase that. So the numbers will fluctuate a little bit. It's just a projection. Any questions?
But these are all items that are purchased by the employee, right?
Excuse me, ma'am?
Are all of these items purchased by the employee?
Not all of them. Some of them are purchased by BPUB. So for example, the vision, the critical care, the cancer, those are optional to the employee, and they come in, it depends if you want the basic or the lower cost insurance for cancer, if you want the higher that covers more. It just depends on what the employee selects. So the numbers might vary. That's where the numbers vary. Some of the life, if you want supplemental life, that varies by tobacco, non-tobacco, age groups, stuff like that. That's where there's some variables in the overall number and why I can't provide an actual number.
This was presented to the Finance Committee as well on Friday. They answer our questions.
Okay. Any further questions from the board?
If okay, I'm going to do a recommended action.
Yes.
The recommended action, BPUB staff recommends the renewal of BPUB basic life, accidental death and dismemberment, voluntary life, accidental death and dismemberment, group long-term disability, voluntary short-term disability, voluntary group cancer dread disease, voluntary group vision, and voluntary group critical care insurances, including the cafeteria flex plan administration, as recommended by Whitney and Associates, and to authorize the BPUB general manager and chief executive officer to designate a time period for open enrollment for the January 1st through January 31st, 2023 policy period.
If there's no further questions from the board, if I can entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
We're going to go to item number 10. The presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding Brownsville Public Utilities Board 2019-2024 strategic plan.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Emilia Guerra. I'm the Director of Human Resources. I'm also the project manager for strategic planning for PUB. Tonight, I will be providing an executive summary of implementation progress of our strategic plan. Can you all hear me? Better? Also here tonight via conference is Darren Thomas, who is our consultant for strategic planning services, and who will be available to, throughout this presentation, to answer any questions that you may have. My goal tonight is to be brief on this presentation. This is a mid-year review, and all of you have received the full report on this update. And at any time, if you have any questions during this presentation, please let me know. If I cannot answer any of your questions, we do have the executive sponsors here as well, and they can help me answer any questions you may have about the plan. So on this slide, we see PUB's strategic plan framework. This slide shows the issues, goals, strategies, and measures. It also provides our vision, our mission, and our value statements. As can be seen, our 2019-2024 strategic plan is a 5-year plan that includes 6 strategic issues or goals on which we are currently working. Behind each goal and to ensure implementation, there is an executive sponsor, a goal champion, and some tactic leads. Each of these issues or goals include measures that serve as performance indicators and define accomplishment for each goal. On this slide, it provides an overview of the 6 strategies and the progress that we have made thus far on this plan. The progress bars indicate where we should be at this point in the plan. Any areas in blue indicate that we have met or that we are ahead of target. Yellow indicates that we are close to meeting the target, and red indicates areas where we are behind of where we want to be. Overall, we are doing a good job in all 6 areas, as indicated by the progress bars. The only area which indicates that we are behind of where we want to be at this point in the plan is on the recruitment and retention tactics. And this delay in the progress of reaching these strategies and tactics is due to the delays that were caused to us by the COVID-19 pandemic. This slide also provides the outcome data that is entered into the model, and we use a model called strategy blocks that was provided to us by our consultant, and it is a dashboard where we collect all of this data, and we update this data on a monthly basis. So next, I'm going to go through each of the issues, and again, if you have any questions, please let me know. So the first issue is customer and community engagement, and the goal of this issue is to increase awareness of the value of BPUB through outreach, open communication, and excellent customer service. We have 3 strategies under this particular issue, and specific tactics that we work on for this issue is to identify employee brand ambassadors or speakers, to leverage virtual online platforms, social media, etc., for events, campaigns, and advertising, to streamline our communications approvals and overall process, and to conduct a customer satisfaction survey to identify opportunities and implement enhancements. Overall, the goal progress is at 59%, and as you can see in this particular issue, the mid-year review shows that we are on target in all of the 3 strategies. The next issue is workforce development and continuity, and the goal of this issue is to attract, develop, and retain the workforce of today and tomorrow. We have 3 strategies under this particular issue. The specific tactics include to recommend career ladders for each position, to increase awareness of available employee development opportunities, to allow for conditional job offers upon completion of degrees for our interns and apprentices, to improve employee retention by implementing different tactics such as stay interviews, and to evaluate and recommend enhancements to our benefits programs. On this particular issue, our overall progress is at 61%, and again, the area where we are lacking in progress is on the recruitment and retention efforts. The next issue is organizational preparedness and resiliency, and the goal of this issue is to provide reliable services by identifying, preparing, and responding to challenges and risks. 3 strategies under this issue, and the tactics include to develop a risk management plan for the entire organization, to identify risk management, avoidance, response, and recovery plans, to inventory our current water, resource, and electrical generation long-range plans for the next 20 to 50 years, and to review and exercise risk management plans periodically. We are making good progress on this particular issue, and the goal progress is at 56%. The next issue is called process improvement, and the goal is to continuously explore and enhance how we operate to produce effective and efficient services. 3 strategies under this particular issue. Some of the tactics include to implement a Bright Ideas submission platform, to include rewards and recognition for process improvement contributions to our employee recognition program, to train employees on process improvement and to develop an up-to-date roster of champions for change, and then to develop quarterly performance reports. Again, our progress for the mid-year review is good for this particular issue, and the goal progress overall is at 56%. The next issue is reliable infrastructure, and the goal is to maintain, improve, and invest in infrastructure to ensure dependable service. We have 3 strategies under this issue. Some of the tactics include to complete the asset management pilot program and begin enterprise-wide implementation, to complete the inventory and evaluation of our operational equipment, to develop a change management plan to adequately address the employee work process impact, to develop a master plan schedule for all utilities, to actively participate in the development of land use planning with the city and with other key stakeholders, and to define and document the human resources requirements that are needed to maintain a proactive asset management capability. Doing good in this particular issue and the strategies, our goal progress is at 74%.
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Do we have historical data on this, losing 12% of our water, I guess, to water main breaks or other losses? Is that typical or, is this higher, lower?
I'm going to turn that over to Marie or to Hyman.
Normally 10% is pretty good.
10% is about right.
We've been below that. You don't really want to get above that, but
Right.
that's kind of the average for most all utilities.
Okay.
And it changes daily. We do some leak detection programs and things like that.
Okay.
And lower it, but then some things changes.
Things pop up. I'm glad there were only 3 wastewater breaks.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a bad situation.
You want to add anything?
No.
Okay.
That's correct. I think maybe a high would have been a couple of years ago at 13%, but then it came back down to the average of 12.
Yeah.
And we're currently undertaking the water audit with JBS as our subcontractor, so we're working on that
Okay.
to find out what the water losses will be for the next 5 years.
Yeah, any way we can improve that would be nice, considering our drought status.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie. The last issue is technology and innovation, and the goal is to identify and implement innovative solutions and embrace technology advancements to better serve our customers. Three strategies under this particular issue. Some of the tactics include to develop the IT and operational technology master plan and create a technology governance team with senior level staff to govern implementation of the recommendations within the master plan. To continue to leverage technology tools to develop a prioritized list of technologies that are underutilized, and to evaluate and document recommendations for new IT and OT technologies or innovations. Again, on this particular issue, we are doing very well. Our goal progress is 86% overall. And lastly, this concludes the presentation on the 2022 mid-year review. Looking ahead, the core planning team will need to convene and create a 2023 implementation work plan, which may include changes or redirection to our current strategies and tactics. And we will also be coming back to the board at some point in the future to discuss a 2024-2025 strategic plan update.
So I got one question, one comment. First of all, the comment is on the fact that we do support our PUB employees. I don't know if anybody's mentioned this enough, but even the ex-Marine we talked to back there, was talking about how they were able to get extra certifications and kind of advance through the company, which is just kind of cool to see and hear about. The second one is we are saying our customer service progress is doing pretty good. And so about a month ago, maybe not even a month ago, I called into the customer service hotline and was on hold for an hour. Do we have those wait times dropped, or are we saying that's pretty good?
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, with the issues that we've had recently, the rate increases and such, it has put a big strain on the customer service group because we get all the calls for everything. To be honest, we have had long wait times. We monitor them. Right now, they're probably averaging about 35 minutes. We've lost 4 staff. We're in the process of hiring those 4 and 2 more, but once we get them on, then it'll take about 3 to 4 months to train them and let them on their own. But until we get those people on board, it's kind of a compounding effect that makes it a little difficult.
Right. And I've tried to pitch this to like actors. You think actors would jump on it, out of work, I guess not, but, okay. Cool.
Now, a couple of things that we are doing is we are talking with some vendors about looking at things like chat box, things that we can try to automate so that people, if they're going to do some simple functions like a payment arrangement or like a open service, that we can walk them through an automated system where they don't have to deal with a human being to do that if it's straightforward. So we are looking at chat box. We're also looking at trying to see if we can find some services that maybe provide call centers for utility, but that's a very narrow segment, so it's a lot harder to get a handle on.
Okay, would we get updates on that, on the
Sure.
progress of this? That would be nice just to hear about.
Absolutely.
Eddie, do we have the option for a customer to be called back?
We do. We're actually looking at that.
You already, or
Well,
looking at?
we did. Actually, I called one of our ex-employees to ask her about it because I knew we used to have that feature. It's a feature where if you call, it'll tell you that the average wait time is X.
Yep.
And if you don't want to wait on the phone, you can press 1 and it'll hold your place in line. And when your turn comes up, it'll call you back.
Yeah,
It's a very useful function. And
Sure.
I asked,
that's what I'm asking about.
we had it, we stopped using it. I asked, why did we stop using it? It said, well, nobody used the feature.
Really?
We hadn't had the need for it.
You
in a
have
while.
data to support that? You have data to support that nobody was using it?
Yeah, well, we're going to bring it back,
Okay,
period. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a good feature nowadays.
absolutely. I mean, everybody's busy and everybody's working, and that's one of the hassles, I know you know.
Well, if I'm sitting on the phone for, even if it's 15 minutes, it seems like forever. And I
It's
would
gonna
much
take some
rather
time to
be.
get those wait times down, but people shouldn't have to wait and take their own personal time to also figure out what else they need to do to meet the bill. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you.
Can
for
I
raising that.
suggest we document that feature once we figure out how to enable it again? I feel like maybe best practices isn't calling a former employee and begging them for help.
No, we were just trying to get the history on it as to, okay,
okay.
why did we stop using this?
Okay.
And
Okay, I see. How easy is it to pull back? Like, is this,
it should be pretty straightforward. We were just looking into it on Friday. So I'll get with the customer service manager tomorrow.
okay.
But I don't foresee a huge issue getting it back up.
Okay, I just realized last night I actually woke up in a nightmare with the wait music.
I'm sorry.
I've got a related question. The progress bars are self-reported. Are they, I mean, based on internal objectives? Is that correct? I would suggest that we consider, perhaps as part of our 2023 implementation plan or in the future for 2024-25, is to think about, aside from internal progress bars, think about a way to get feedback from our community and our employees as to how we're doing across these 6 goals. I mean, I think, you know, the point, Justice's point on, hey, I called and I was on hold for an hour. I question whether if we reached out to the community today and if we asked them, you know, how we were doing across these 6 issues, I question if our results would be the same. Specifically, for example, when it comes to something like, you know, are you picking up the phones? And so I want to make sure that what we're focusing on and the way in which we're measuring it is consistent with what really matters to our households and to our families, and what really matters to our employees here at PUB. And if there's a way to, I think progress bars are an important way to track how we're executing or how we're implementing our strategy. But ultimately, I think what matters most is what our community is saying, what our families are saying, what our employees are saying. And so if there's a way to think about that, in a way to monitor it on a regular basis and then include it so that we can see if our objectives and our progress bars are consistent with what the community feels with how the community is grading us across these 6 goals. And another question would be if that's what really matters to the community and to the employees. But I think that goes more into thinking about perhaps 2024 or 2023 and through 2025. But, and maybe with, Estrella, you mentioned the projects with or with our communications team. Maybe that's part of it, is to be able to gather more information, more data, not just on how we're doing internally with our objectives, but more importantly, how we're doing with our customers, how we're doing with our families, how we're doing with our households, how we're doing with our employees, and to see if we are meeting our objectives with them. And so, but perhaps there's a way to look at that and just to see if there's another way to monitor these goals in their eyes.
And that's part of what we need to work on in 2023 as an implementation. Some of these tactics have already, they're done. And so that's where I said there may be changes that come. We may need to look at other areas. Now, when we developed this plan, we did get input from the community, stakeholders, the board, employees. So all of that input was considered. And Darren, I don't know if you have anything else to add on Mr. Sampaio's question.
No, I think I appreciate the question, and I think that you're spot on. Essentially, inside your strategic plan, you have what we try to do is take the organization through annual work planning against its strategic plan, and those progress bars you see is essentially where the organization is at relative to anticipated work for the year that we're in, 2022. In order to keep kind of driving the plan forward, then we pivot, we start thinking about 2023. But we're getting toward the end of the plan. We did the plan in 2019. We did it before the pandemic was here, really. And so things have changed. And so it's a fair question at this point to then go back and say, okay, what do we most value? Are we on the right track? Are these 6 goals, in fact, the goals we need to stay committed to? And, based on the fact that we're in a slightly new time now, it's a fair question to go back and ask your stakeholders, what is most important to you? And then bring that forward to be able to bring visibility to how the organization is performing against those metrics. So I agree wholeheartedly and appreciate that feedback.
That's all we have for tonight. Are there any other questions?
I think so. There's no action, right?
No action.
There's no action.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go with item number 11, consideration and possible action for purchase of the annual supply of water meters.
Good evening, chairs and board members. My name is Hugo Lopez. The water meters are inventory for day-to-day operation. The time of the contract is from October 2022 through October 2023. The recommended action, BPUE staff recommends the purchase of the annual supply of water meters to Badger Meter Inc. of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with a grand total amount not to exceed $780,294.
Are these water meters, I'm assuming they must be compatible with AMI? So no
Yes.
problems there. We're not.
Yeah, they're exact meters we're using for AMI.
Perfect.
Any other questions from the board?
Homer, just a quick question. Are the water meters all purchased at one time, or do we purchase?
We can't
water
hear
meters?
you.
Art, you need to speak up.
Can you hear me? I was asking Homer, are the water meters all purchased at the same time, or do we
No.
purchase as needed?
Are they purchased at the same time or are they purchased as needed? That's what I heard.
No, there's right now this is for the annual supply only, and we're in contact communication with the department to move forward on that one. But right now, this is only for the annual supply.
But do you get those all at one time or do we get them as needed?
This is gonna be as needed basis.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Are you going to entertain a motion then?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're going to go with item number 12, the consideration and possible action to approve change order number 2 for the southmost 2.0 million gallon elevated storage tank project.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Special Projects and Water Wastewater Engineering Planning and Operations. The Southmost 2 million gallon elevated storage tank project consists of the construction of a new concrete composite elevated storage tank located on East 30th Street and Southmost Road. On August 9th of 2021, the BPB board approved this project to be awarded to Landmark Structures LLP at a cost of $5,782,000. On July 11th of 2022, the BPB board approved the purchase of water line materials for the 30th Street water line necessary to connect this elevated storage tank that's under construction to our main distribution line, which is located on Southmost Boulevard. We have now begun to receive this material, and it's currently on hand. BPB staff has negotiated this change order number 2 with the contractor for the amount of $703,104. This change order includes the cost for the installation of 16-inch and 20-inch diameter water line, which includes boring under Southmost Boulevard, and the revised contract amount, including this change order number 2, will be $6,513,259. The recommended action is BPB staff recommends approval of change order number 2 for the Southmost 2 million gallon elevated storage tank project in the amount of $703,104 for a revised, not to exceed contract amount of $6,513,259 to Landmark Structures LLP.
So what specifically changed?
Nothing changed. We, in our CIP, we had this 30th Street water line in our CIP, and it was budgeted to be constructed. And due to the fact that all of the materials, that there was a long delay in the deliverables of material, I'm not sure if you were on board, but we came to the board, and for 2 particular projects, one on Boca Chica Boulevard, and for this one, the 30th Street water line, we came to the board, and PUB purchased and ordered the materials so that we can have that lead time in receiving that material and not have to go through the advertisements. And we did that. And in lieu of getting a contractor to install this line, we asked Landmark to give us a proposal, and it became this change order for them to do the installation and labor and warranties for this water line. It goes from the tank out to the road. It's a 20-inch line, and then it tapers down to a 16-inch line down 30th Street, and then it goes into all the way across Southmost Boulevard and ties into our main distribution line there. And one of the key hard things about this is boring underneath Southmost Road with the amount of traffic that it has.
But this was a budgeted item, right?
This is a budgeted item, yes, sir.
Or this is a budget. And how does it compare to our internal estimate?
Actually, it was under, we're under, I believe, like $70,000, our budgeted amount.
Any further questions from the board?
Marie, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Marie, I just want to make a comment. I know these projects are complicated, and I know they're well studied before they're presented to PUB, and before we act on them, and before we agree in a contract. It seems to me like there would have been some understanding or knowledge that this additional work would have to have been performed. I think change orders are dangerous. I know it's within the budget, but that's a comment I wanted to make. I can't support a change order of this amount. These companies, Landmarks, these are very sophisticated companies. I'm sure there were some studies that would have told them that this additional work was needed to be made. But those are my comments.
I mean, this is basically two projects. You have the tank and you have this water line
I
along.
understand that. I understand that.
Our budget for individually, all we're doing is merging the two. And
Yeah.
they're within what we call acceptable construction engineering costs for this type of project.
Yeah.
Other projects right now, when we bid out, such as the Boca Chica water line that we did bid it out, you run into a problem of you end up having one sole bidder, you know? And in those times, then it might be a higher bid. That the recommendation is that it is within the budgeted amounts and the current engineering cost prices for this type of.
I understand what you're saying. I simply don't agree with it. I don't support it, and that's my position.
And this is consistent with our procurement policy, and there's no additional comment by legal as to the use of this.
Yeah, it's underneath the 25% level for change order for a contractor. So it's
With this change order, it puts us at 12.6%.
13% of it.
Any further questions by the board? Do I get a motion to move on the item?
Yep, so moved. Second.
Senator Langley, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
I'm sorry?
I'm opposed.
Noted. Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and go with item. So we got it, Norma? Yeah. We're gonna go with item number 13. So it's presentation, discussion, and possible action on construction management at-risk services. Estimated guarantee maximum price, number one, for the Brownsville Public Utilities Board remodel of the existing administration building project, and authorization for the Brownsville Public Utilities Board management and staff to proceed.
Madam Chair, members of the board. The proposed remodel of the existing admin building project consists of remodeling the existing two-story building with approximately 37,549 square feet in area. Modifications under this project will include replacements of necessary items that were outlined in the building assessment report, such as chillers, ductwork, electrical, and fire alarm systems. On June 13, 2022, the BPB Board of Directors approved the ERO architectural team and Noble Texas Builders to proceed with option 1A, which was remodeling of the customer service area and remediation upgrades for the remainder of the two floors at an approximate budget cost of $6.5 million. In order to expedite the order placement of major HVAC and electrical equipment, which currently have a lengthy delivery times of about 10 months, the contractor's estimated guaranteed price, which we refer to as GMPs, for this project will be provided in two parts, GMP 1 and GMP 2. GMP 1 will consist of turnkey materials, labor, and warranties for all the heating, cooling, mechanical, and electrical equipment and general demolition on the project. GMP 2 will come at a later time when the plans are 100% complete, and it will consist of finishing out flooring, ceiling, painting, millwork, and all other finish work. The ERO architectural team and Noble Texas Builders are here tonight. I have Stephen Delgado with Noble Texas Builders as an estimator. He will be assisting me in this presentation, and Yesenia Suchil from ERO Architects as a project manager is also here.
Has this been reviewed by the facilities committee? And if so, is there a recommendation?
No, sir. I believe it was not put in the agenda on the facilities committee last week.
Well, for clarification, it was, I was sent an email to hold such a meeting. Due to my conflict of schedule, I recommended that the meeting be pushed to October 12th. Apparently, my recommendation was not honored, so it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda for October 12th?
No.
Sounds like they're not doing it. You're not having a meeting on October 12th?
No, sir, and maybe the executive team can, I believe that there was an email stating that item number 1, which was this one, would not be on that agenda.
That's correct.
So just a question, how many people work over, or how much work is done in that building now? How many people do we have there?
Okay, on the first floor, we have customer service, and I'm doing these numbers off the top of my head. He has a little bit over 40 people working out of the customer service, which includes the call center. On the first floor right now, we also have HR department, and a part of our IT team is in the middle bottom wing as well. On the second floor, we have energy risk, we have environmental, and then we have all of the departments that belong under PR, risk and management, records management, and digital information. I believe I have everybody. So it is a total, I think it's over 100 people that work in that building.
Okay, so as we do these renovations, what will happen to these people?
That's a very good question. And we plan to come in the next couple of months before the board or the facility committee, of course, first, to inform you and describe what the plan of action is for the logistics of moving people. It is planned that if the board approves this GMP number 1 tonight, this gives the contractor, first of all, the ability to be able in a couple of days place the order for these long-term equipment that we need. Once we do that, then we are going to begin working with staff. Before the end of the year, we would relocate temporarily all of the departments I just mentioned, except for anything related to customer service. Those departments that I just mentioned would be relocated to the several buildings that we have in the back that were recently used for social distancing during COVID. So they are well equipped and ready to be inhabited by those departments. And then what we would do is, of course, remove the leftover furniture and store it in our old fleet, in our old warehouse in the back. And it would be the end of the year. At the start of the year, customer service remains operable with the drive-through lanes where they're at. The contractor will, of course, place the proper barricades so customers can come in and deal with customer service department. I believe the call center will be relocated either to work from home, or they'll be relocated to the back, what we call our fleet building, which has a very large conference room. So that will happen from January through June, for example, where the contractor is taking down the ceiling grid, working on the air ducts, fire alarm, everything else on the 2 stories. Customer service will continue to work where they're at right now. Then we'll do a flip where customer service for the remainder half of the year will be operating out of our old boardroom, which will by then be it'll be ready, and it'll be able to accommodate some tellers and some CSRs. We'll also bring in 2 trailers that will be located on the parking lot on the west side to accommodate the remainder of CSRs and cashiers there.
Marie, let me just interject something. One of my major concerns is, and you're talking about it, are y'all prepared to continue with customer service without compromising the folks that come in for assistance? Are y'all convinced that you could keep a high level of customer service available?
We have had one major meeting with the executives and with the director and managers from the customer service, and we all felt that, yes, it can be done. And they would maintain the same service that we have now.
We did meet with the contractor and architect, Mr. Rendon, on that a week ago. for those very concerns you have, and they assured us by what they were proposing, we felt very comfortable that we could maintain the level of service needed.
Okay, thank you, John.
All right.
How about employee retention? I know from firsthand experience, nothing's worse than being in a building under construction. So have we thought about their experience during this whole thing?
Well, nobody knows their department better, their division better than customer service division that Eddie Hernandez. I think, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but these employees have been waiting for this project for such a long time that they know that this is coming, and we would do our best to work around it and make them make their daily work schedule be the same.
Yeah, we understand that. I mean, there's no way to go in and redo the building and there not be any pain involved. Working with management, we think we can figure out, we're going to take advantage of the old boardroom to put cashiering in there and maybe a waiting area for the customers. And we're coming up with a couple of different options that we can minimize the pain for the customer. As far as the customer service group, we understand that it's going to be inconvenient for us for a while, but then the end result will be much better.
Okay, because you're already down, what, 4 staff? So,
More than that.
okay.
But yeah, we've already got some of the people out of the building working in other buildings because of the COVID issues. And as Marie stated, we have different options, like call center. We can either work remotely, or we have another facility where we could put them if it's available. It just depends on how we juggle the other staff.
But we've got this building and we've got the new service center to move people out, so that'll minimize the amount of people impacted in that building while it's under construction.
Okay.
My only concern on this is, given the budget, and some of the issues that have been identified, I feel more comfortable if it was reviewed by Facilities Committee and if we had a recommendation from them prior to that vote. So I don't know if there's no issue with putting it on their agenda, or if they already have a committee meeting scheduled. My suggestion would be that perhaps we table it at this time, let them review it, have a recommendation, and then address.
We want them comfortable with it, so.
Now, I got to ask I think I always ask, what's the opportunity cost here? Do we expect any major changes in the bid if we delay this a month?
No, sir, there are no major changes from the 6.5 that instructed us to design it.
We can live with a month.
If I may add that I have gotten some feedback from the subcontractors that did put a bid for Noble for this HVAC and electrical equipment. And they're stating that the construction escalation right now is true to 2% per month right now.
So there is a cost. Okay.
So there may be a cost escalation. I don't know. That would be something that we could ask the contractor to see how long we could possibly ask their subs to hold these prices. And furthermore, we are replacing 85% of equipment on this building. 85% of it is the original equipment, which is over 30 years old now. And another another drawback could be that all of the major equipment like HVAC and even some electrical problems, they're at the end of their life pretty much. So they could fail us any time.
Yeah, we clearly don't want that, but if the Facilities Committee is meeting in the next couple of days and they can review it, I mean, we can always hold another meeting.
Right, we could call another meeting.
I think because of the budget impact, it'd be good to have the Facilities Committee review it and have a recommendation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes,
my opinion. I mean, obviously, open to discussion, but if there are any.
I agree with you.
I would make a motion to table and allow the Facilities Committee to review and make a recommendation.
I'd rather get it right.
Right. Everybody agrees? Yes. If we have a motion.
I'll
on
make
the
that
floor. Make the motion
Yep.
for it to be tabled. Mr. Rendon?
Second the motion. I'm in agreement.
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Marie.
Item number 14, consideration and possible action to approve proposed work for the inspection and potential repair of the Unit 9 combustion turbine in the Silas Ray Power Plant.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Marion Gilbert, Assistant General Manager and Chief Operating Officer. I'm here to present this item on behalf of Orlando Lozano. He's also here at the item. Unit 9 is scheduled for inspection November 2nd to November 23rd. This is a typical annual inspection that we do, and so these are things that plant maintenance that we do. We do have accumulated a total of 4,371 operating hours since the last outage in 464 starts. Typically, when we have the number of starts, there's various different things that happen. We're beyond the 400 starts recommended to do the performance of this maintenance. When Siemens goes and opens a unit, they typically know which things they need to reduce. It's kind of like when you get an oil change or change a filter, simplistically what being. So we already know what we have for the consumable parts on there. The overall cost of everything between labor and parts and fuel services, all the people that come in, it's a very orchestrated, very timed so we can get the units back and running as quickly as possible. And that's $679,257. Siemens Energy is the original equipment manufacturer. We currently have an operating plant service agreement with them, and it became effective on May 6, 2021. So we have negotiated the settlement between Siemens and PUB. And so at this time, if there are not any questions, our recommended action is for the PUB staff to recommend approval of the inspection and potential repair of Unit 9 combustion turbine to Siemens Energy, Inc. of Houston, Texas, for an amount not to exceed $679,257.
This is a budgeted item?
Yes, it is.
And the amount is in line with the amount budgeted?
Yes.
Any further questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And motion carries then. Thank you. We're going to go to item number 15, which is consideration and possible action to ratify a contract with Optimus Industries LLC for the purchase of 3 Hrsg Economizer replacement panels for the Silas Ray Power Plant Unit number 6.
I've been before this board before discussing the various different contracts associated with this. This is one of the last that I'm bringing before the board. I'm just going to, instead of reiterating everything, but on January 11 of 2021, the board approved the proposal with Hammock Inc., HDI, for the purchase of the new Economizer. That was for Unit 6 at Silas Ray Power Plant. So basically what happened is they entered into bankruptcy code, and now we're entering into another sum to somebody else to release the units for us. That's the bottom line what it is. So PEB negotiated with Optimus for the HARPs, and PEB intends to utilize the plant outage on October 2022 for the installation under a separate contract, and the payment is $156,956. We do have an amount in there in a contingency, and the reason being is that there was an amount of money that could be potentially placed into the core system in the amount of $56,782.50 at this time. If we only expect to use $156,956, but if for whatever reason, then that's going to exceed our general manager's authority, and so therefore that's why we're here doing that. So the recommended action is PEB staff to recommend the board ratification of the contract executed by the general manager and the chief executive officer with Optimus Industries on behalf of PEB for the purchase of the 3 Economizer panels for Silas Ray Power Plant Unit 6.
Any questions from the board?
Again, this is budgeted item.
Budgeted item.
And we would hear about it if there were any other problems.
Right. So we have a one lump sum for this, and so there's several different items: the installation, the equipment, the manufacturing, the crane equipment, and so they're all under one lump sum, and this is part of that lump sum.
And so this work would be done in October during a planned outage?
Yes, that's the intent, is to coordinate, and everything is, we're coordinating right now, crane equipment, the release, the arrival,
And so the unit would then be operational
after the outage.
after the outage in October or?
I would have to get back and see what it is because we're going to have two different outages that we're planning to do. And one of them is for Unit 9, one of them is for Unit 6. This is for Unit 6 and 6 and 9 working combined cycle. So it depends on if Unit 9 is running, 6 runs.
Any further questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Gotta walk by and see that.
That concludes our individual items. We're going to, at this time, going to go into closed meeting. We have 3 items under that section. Item number 1 is the meeting with board's legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court and administrative litigation and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflicts with Chapter 551, Section 551.071, including, among other matters, the CRI Forensic Audit Report. Item number 2 is a consideration and possible action on the Brownsville Public Utilities Board Public Meeting Security Operations Policy. That's Section 551.076 and 551.089. The third item is a presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of information upon pricing of purchased power, generation, and fuel and their impact upon the fuel, purchased energy, and marketing charge and possible discussion, Section 551.086. If I could get a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I know.
Oh, you're welcome.
No? Did it end already? Did it end already? Already? Mm-hmm.
Ready? At this time, we're going to go ahead and reconvene to open meeting. We're going to go with item number 16, consideration and possible action on items discussed in a closed meeting.
As discussed in closed session.
Can I get a motion?
Someone.
I second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, we have discussion and a request for future agenda items. No. There might be, we discussed the possibility of a meeting for next week on Monday, okay? And at this time, the full board, we're going to go ahead and make a statement. It is clearly important that we respond to the audit in a measured, factual, and deliberate manner that takes into account what is best for the community, the city, and Brownsville PUB. We must do this quickly and in such a way that we capture the narrative of the audit with our collective objectives in mind, with the aim of minimizing negative external impacts to our ability to function effectively in the future. We do caution that even after the brief time we were given to read and digest this extensive report, there are some potential factual issues. This is important because in order to determine how to proceed with what's best for our community, we need a common base of agreed facts. We feel it prudent to allow those listed in the report a specified period of time to respond to the opinions and allegations specified in the audit. We will conduct an expedited review of the audit, either internally or with the possible help of outside professionals, to help us sort through the facts and present an accurate foundation for moving forward. We understand and we feel the tremendous concern conveyed to Brownsville Public Utilities Board by the public. So once we have taken the above steps, we aim to engage with the city to address in an expedited fashion the mistakes that were made, the root causes, and make whatever structural and/or personnel changes are needed to ensure that Brownsville Public Utilities SHIP returns quickly without delay to its core mission and the major challenges we and the entire utility industry are facing. Thank you. If I could now get a motion to adjourn the meeting? So moved. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting has been adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Very well done.
Good job. Thank you.
Once it's on the end.